Subaru low beam bulb replacement on this episode of the DY Dummy. Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of the DY Dummy. Now I know a lot of people have done videos on this on the internet, and I have done this before. This isn't the first time. Normally on the DY Dummy it's the first time I've ever done something like this. Today, this is the second time I've done it. I've done it years ago. And I just want to go through the steps and all the mistakes that I make so you don't make them. Now, obviously, this thing is a pain in the butt. As you can see, I had to jack up the car. Now, right where my jack stand is, that is the jack point. Now, I have the jack over here because I used the jack that comes with the car, and I don't know if I accidentally pushed the tire, but it got stuck on the ground, and the car's manufacturer jack would not jack the car up far enough. But once you get it jacked up, of course, you got to take the tire off. Once you take the tire off, you got to take the plastic in the wheel well that's covering all the goodies underneath, all the mechanical stuff. So there are clips, and yes, you're gonna need auto trim pliers, which I bought a set of 5 at Harbor Freight for only $13 because I was breaking the clips trying to get it off with a screwdriver. So now, of course, naturally I have to replace them. Once you get all that stuff off, your bulb is on the inside here, which is a very small place to work. You have to first take the cap off. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. That thing comes off and it will expose the bulb. As you can see, I've already gotten it all out. I'll show you the busted bulb. If it focuses, that is not the busted bulb, that is a new bulb. I'll show you the busted bulb. See, it focuses. If you look real closely in there, you can see the filament is detached. These are the new bulbs. They are I got Savania H7s. Now first you're going to want to take the connector, this is the black connector, off the bulb. And then you got a clip or spring, whatever you want to call it. Please guys, do not take the screw right here off. I did that and it is a pain in the butt to get back on. That is a wrong thing to do. Do not touch it. I put it in backwards, of course, when I was doing it, and it took me a little while to realize, and that made the job take much longer than it should. All you have to do is, if you see the clip right here, I'll try to keep this camera focused, you'll push that down, it'll clip out, and then it folds to the side there, and you can pull the connector off and get the bulb out. Right, when you're putting it on, I suggest putting the bulb in first. Do not connect it to the wire or the connector. Get the bulb in first, clip the thing, and then stick it on. I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you what it looks like when it's finished. Yeah, guys, I also want to show you AutoZone suggested I use bulb grease. It's supposed to protect against corrosions and waterproof the connector. You're supposed to put a little on the connector here. Now I'm going to need to wipe this bulb off. I got some of it on it, of course. But you'll put a little on the connectors here, and that's supposed to keep it from corroding and waterproof it. Alright guys, I got it in. Now you're going to want to make sure, let me see if I can hold this and get my hand in. Make sure the little notch at the edge of the bulb, which I'll show you where that is on the other bulb, ends up aligned with this. And while holding it, push the clip down, and inside the notch here, you'll have to push back and push up, and it should clip itself. I made this thing more difficult than it needed to be, and it took over an hour and a half, maybe a little less than that, to get this bulb in. It should not take that long. It was more difficult than it should have been. The whole part that's difficult is taking the tire off. And the plastic trim, if you don't take that off, it's going to be even more of a pain in the butt to get your hand up and over in here. I suggest taking the whole thing down and off to make it easier. But that's the way it should look. Now it's on. All I have to do is put the black connector on, But let me show you what notch I'm talking about. Alright guys, there's the notch I'm talking about. You want to make sure it fits in that little notch on the light, on the housing, and then push the clip down. I took way too long to realize that, hence the name DIY Dummy. Now the connector is on. Now we're going to have to put the cover over the housing, the one I showed you how to take it off, righty tighty lefty loosey. Once that's on, we could go ahead and test it and then start putting everything back together. Alright, the housing is on now. Everything is tight and secure. Let's go ahead and test it, and then we'll put the plastic back on, the trim and the wheel. Alright guys, there you go. As you can see, the low beam is now working. Everything is working properly, so now we can go ahead and put everything back on. Now guys, this should be self-explanatory, but I thought I'd just add it in the video anyway. Now you have to lift this whole housing up into here, and they got these lips here that have to go underneath the body panels, underneath the body kit, whatever you want to call it, and it slides in the notches up here, as you can see, and goes underneath. And then you have these clips, which you would have removed during the removal process. These things need to be out or separate from each other, because once you put this screw, well, it's not really a screw, but this plastic, I don't even know what the heck to call it, sorry. Pretty stupid, darn DIY dummy. But once you put that into this base, this thing stretches, and that's how it holds into place. So you're going to want to be able to push it in without anything holding up against the sidewalls. Just a little tip, and they go in these holes. Now obviously this isn't pushed up far enough. There you go, you can see the hole, and you'll clip them in. Now I did break some of them, so I will have to buy replacements. They are pretty easy to break. They're pretty cheap plastic, honestly. I would have rather regular screws, but this thing is plastic, so I mean, I guess they gotta cut corners somehow and cut costs down. But you have some under here, and you'll have some on the sides here. All this right here will have to go back in, like I said, the body, like so. Pretty self-explanatory, thought I'd just include it anyway. Trim's on, and as you can see, there are some missing. I broke them. I think I found them on the Wish app for fairly cheap. I'm gonna look on Amazon and eBay. I kind of like getting things from the United States. Not that buying stuff from China is always bad, but it's all on now. We can put the tire on. Alright guys, and that concludes this episode of the DIY Dummy. Now off camera, I'm going to get to the other side, replace the other bulb. AutoZone for some reason suggests that they both get replaced at the same time. I mean, I get it, but when you think about it, if it's not broken, should you fix it? That was replacing the light bulb in a Subaru. Now yes, originally this was a pain in the butt, and it is a pain to have to take off the wheel and the plastic trim on the inside. That is just ridiculous. It's also ridiculous that they didn't go with a normal just screw-in plastic light. You have to have a clip, but once you pretty much figure out how to do it, it's not actually that difficult. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions that could probably make this job a whole lot easier, please leave them in the comments down below. I will leave a link to all the parts that I got. There weren't many, it was a bulb. But also, if you're interested to see more from DIY Dummy, please hit that like and subscribe button, and also please consider sharing this if you found it to be useful information.